Okay, so we're going to start to work on the context for contacts. I know that contacts and context sound very similar, so I apologize if that's confusing. But we're going to work on that. Later on, we're going to have context for alerts as well, like we did in the first project. We're also going to have context for authentication. All right, but that's going to come a little later. So we're just going to deal with kind of with some dummy data or just hard-coded data at first, and then we'll start to work with our API. So let's jump into VS Code, and I'm just going to close all this stuff up. We don't need this open. And inside of our source folder, make sure you're in your client. So client source, we're going to create a folder called context. And inside context, let's create our types file. So types.js. Types are just basically variables that we're going to use to basically decide what we're going to do within our reducer. Inside context, we're going to have a folder called contacts, or I'm sorry, contact. And inside contact, we're going to have our three main files. If you recall from the first project, we have our context file, our state file, and our reducer file. So let's create those. So let's say contact state, which is going to be uppercase C, contact state.js. And we're going to have our main, our context file, which is context.js, which won't have much in it. Basically, it's just to initialize our context. And then, of course, our reducer, so contact reducer.js. All right, so let's start with the context file, which, again, is going to be very simple. It's just to initialize it. So we're going to import the create context, and that's going to be from React. And let's say const contact context equals create context. And then we want to export as default our contact context. Okay, and that's it. That's all we have to do here. So in our, let's go into our state file, which is contact state, and we're going to import from here React, and we're going to be using the use reducer hook so that we can have access to state and also dispatch. So we can dispatch to our reducer. And then let's bring that in from React. All right, now I'm also going to import the UUID package that we created. Basically, this is just to generate a random ID because we're going to just work with some hard-coded data before we deal with our back end. All right, we also, of course, need to bring in our context. So we're going to say import contact context from, and it's in the same folder, and we want our contact context. Okay, also our reducer, let's import contact reducer from / contact reducer. And then we're going to have a bunch of types that we're going to import. I guess we could add the types that have to do with contacts for now. So let's do export. Actually, I'll just paste these in. Okay, so we basically have add contact, delete, set current, clear current, and don't worry about what these mean yet. We're going to get to this later. Update, filter, clear, set alert, and remove alert, which has to do with the alerts, which we'll get to in a little bit. So let's just go ahead and save that. And as far as what we want to bring into here from our types, let's say import from, and we want to go .. types. Okay, and we're going to bring in add contact, delete contact. Let's bring in set current, clear current. Let's do update contact, filter contacts, and clear filter. Okay, and you don't worry about what these do just yet. So next thing, we want to create our initial state. So let's say const contact state, set that to props, or to take in props. And then let's create a variable called initial state, set that to an object, and this is going to have our contacts array. Now, ultimately, this is going to be empty, and then we're going to make a request to our back end, and we're going to fill this up. But for now, I'm actually going to put just some hard-coded contacts in here. So I'm going to just paste these in. So we just have 3 contacts. So Jill Johnson, and you can see we just have name, email, phone, and type. Sarah Watson, Harry White. So we're just going to use these for now. So next step is to pull out the state and dispatch from our reducer by using the use reducer hook. So let's go under, let's see, just going to save that. We're going to go right under where we created the contacts, and let's say const, we want state and dispatch. So state allows us to access anything in our state, and dispatch allows us to dispatch objects to the reducer. So we're going to set this to use reducer. We want to pass in our contact reducer, and then we want to pass in our initial state. All right, now down here we're going to have all of our actions. For now, I'm going to just put in comments that basically are, you know, the actions we're going to add. So we're going to have add contact. We're going to have delete contact, set current contact, and we want to be able to clear current contact. We want to be able to update the contact, so it's full CRUD. So update, we have filter contacts. We want to be able to clear filter. Oh, one thing, I get delete. So add delete. We got set current, clear current. Yep, clear filter. So that should be it for now. So those are the actions that we'll be creating. Now below that, let's go ahead and return our provider so that we can basically wrap our entire application with this context. So I'm going to say return parentheses, and let's do contact context, and then we want to do dot provider, and inside here all we need to do is props dot children, but inside here is where we provide the value. So I'm going to put value equals, and we want to use double curly braces here, and anything that we want to be able to access from other components, including state and actions, need to go in here. So let's do contacts, which we're going to get from state. We can use state because we brought that in from use reducer, and we want dot contacts. Okay, that's really all we need right now. Actually, one thing I forgot, we have to export this. So let's say export default, and we want to export contact state. Now, in order to use this, we need to wrap our application. So let's go to app.js, our main app component here, and we're going to bring in that file. So import contact state, and we're going to bring that in from, let's see, where are we? We want to go ./context/contact, and then /contact state. And then we can just come down here and we can wrap everything in our contact state. Okay, so we want this ending tag to go down here. And let's save. And good, we have, we just have this stuff that says it's assigned but never used. That's fine. So everything looks okay. So in the next video, now that we have access to our state, let's start to create some components, including the contacts component, to actually list out the ones that are in state.